Now, I know I said that I was going to be talking about rape culture, and I will, trust me. I have a few more thoughts on that subject. But I thought I'd take a little break from death threats. Oh, ladies are so brave on the internet, threatening to rape me and kill me. Please. Bitch, are you kidding me? I have a phaser. You don't mess with JudgyBitch. What I want to talk about today is an important cultural phenomenon that I think we should all be participating in. We should all be jumping in because it has some important things to say. Yes, what I want to talk about is Twilight.
Bald-faced lying, calculated deceit.
Bitch, please. Are you crazy? Twilight? Blah. My vampire boyfriend broke up with me, so I think I'll run off into the woods and just die. Bitch, you need to get up and join Starfleet to boldly go where no one has gone before and to do it with the super cutest hair ever. Oh my god. Did I just mock Twilight? Well, so much for taking a break from the death threats, eh? There's two reasons that you need to watch Star Trek right now. Here's one. Star Trek embodies the idea that you as an individual can be part of something that is way bigger than yourself. Not just you, but a huge community of people of like-minded values who share the same goals, who have the same desires. It doesn't stop you from being an individual. On the contrary, it makes you more of an individual. Back in 2000, Robert Putnam, very clever guy, wrote a book called Bowling Alone. And in it, he discusses an absolute sea change in attitudes towards individuality in North American culture. Well, in American culture in particular, but this kind of applies across the entire Western world.
Fascinating.
Individuals no longer exist woven into a tapestry, into a web of relationships and networks and groups and affiliations. There's this new idea that in order to be an individual, you need to cast off all of those group affiliations. Well, it's a little problem with this. The most basic group that any individual belongs to is a family. You're born into a family. They constitute your identity. You move past that, you go on out into the world, and you create your own family. Starfleet is one of those families. When you become a member of Starfleet, you agree, you decide that the goals and the mission of the entire enterprise are far more important than anything that you as an individual personally desire. You are there to serve a greater good. That's the point of Starfleet. Everything you are as an individual is governed by your membership in this larger organization. Joining Starfleet doesn't detract from your individuality. It constitutes it. That's who you are. It's what you become. The sense that our roles in society, the things that we do, the characters that we play, wife, husband, mother, son, daughter, teacher, worker, all of those very different roles, they're part of what makes us who we are. Now, we have a problem with the new cult of individuality. If we're going to define ourselves only in terms of what we want, what we desire, what we need, then what other people need becomes irrelevant. Who cares? They're individuals defining themselves also on a strictly individualist basis, and how we connect with one another doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. The impact that your actions have on other people is also irrelevant. Now, that's exactly the kind of attitude that makes divorce culture possible, palatable, easy to swallow. And if you don't define yourself as an individual, as part of a family unit, you don't define yourself as a wife, a mother, a husband, a father, it makes it very, very easy to break apart that unit. Sure, you can rip apart your family. You can shred it, because at the end of the day, a family is just a bunch of individuals who happen to live together and share some DNA, right? Right? Wrong. 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 When you tear apart your family, you tear apart yourself. You tear apart your spouse. You tear apart your children. You tear apart your parents. You tear apart every member of that group. Because, like it or not, you exist in the context of that group. This brings us to the second reason that you should be watching Star Trek, because Star Trek models how successful relationships work. Every ship has a command structure. A captain who has the ultimate responsibility for the well-being and safety for everyone on board that ship. A first officer whose job is to advise the captain. You need to balance the captain. When the captain makes a decision, you need to offer critiques of that. You need to back that up with intelligence. You need to have some data. You need some evidence to support your position. You can argue with the captain. Absolutely. Of course you can. That's your fucking job. But at the end of the day, one person, and one person only, has authority. Kirk and Spock. There is no possible world in which you could imagine that Spock is less intelligent, or less perceptive, or less valuable than Kirk. That's nonsense. The two of them work together. They work in tandem. They are both committed to a greater goal. They're both working towards that goal. And they use each other's strengths and weaknesses to balance their own. Hey, Kirk may get frustrated with Spock. Well, he's a fucking green-blooded Vulcan retard sometimes, right? And Spock may get frustrated with Kirk. He's a fucking Yahoo cowboy who goes off into the wild blue yonder without really thinking it through.
You're in the hands of an adolescent.
But they work together to tackle problems, to solve issues, and ultimately to keep everybody under their command safe and in one piece. Unless you're wearing a red shirt. Oh, shit. If you wear a red shirt, you're pretty much fucked, dude. Trust me. Go for the color blue. Don't take a red shirt. Riker and Picard. The final decisions rest with Picard. He's the captain. He not only has the decision-making authority, but he bears the responsibility. Picard could not run his ship without Riker. There's no way. Riker takes care of all the fucking petty details, the scheduling, the shift work, who gets fucking access to the whatever array. Hey, remember when Picard had a girlfriend and she was like a stellar cartographer and she wanted more access to the dish and she totally fucked Picard. Like, that should solve the problem, but guess what? It didn't. No. You still gotta go through Riker to get access to that main sensor array. Riker deals with all of those petty details of how life runs, and he's always on hand to advise the captain. He's always there to talk to him, to reason with him, to present him with different evidence, to get him to suggest alternate points of view. And even though the captain ultimately has the power to make the final decision, it doesn't make Riker less of a person. It doesn't dilute Riker's power. If anything, it enables his power. Riker has an influence over the captain that no one else has. Okay, Riker's perfectly capable of taking command of a ship. Of course he can. If he wants to, go ahead. Apply. Get yourself your own ship. Guess what? He doesn't want to. When Lieutenant Commander Shelby comes on board the ship, she tries to push Riker off onto his own command. Get out of here. I want your job. So get the fuck off the bridge of the Enterprise. I want this job. Yeah? Suck it, bitch. You don't get it. That's fine. Every captain needs a first officer. That's just life. Chakotay and Janeway. They work as a team. Oh, did you see what I just did there? I put Chakotay first. Oh my god. Well, that's sexism, isn't it? Cisco and Kira Nerys. You know those Bajorans. How fussed they get about their surnames. I'm just gonna call her Kira Nerys, just to be safe. They have their conflicts. They have their issues. But the moment a threat presents itself, the second something is threatening Deep Space Nine, they are together. They are one. They are working as a unit to protect everyone on that station. Even that fucking ugly little Ferengi. I don't like Ferengis. Don't ask me to rub your ears. Okay, the reason those relationships work is because both partners in the relationship understand what their roles are. And there's an incredible amount of respect. But at the end of the day, one person and one person only has authority. Authority is just another word for responsibility. Riker is every bit as smart and clever and resourceful and capable as the captain. Of course he is. Well, that whole beard thing was like a serious misjudgment, but whatever. We'll just ignore that. Spock is arguably more intelligent and more capable and more perceptive than Kirk. But he still doesn't want command. The differences between those four men and between any captain and first officer relationship in Starfleet has to do with risk. How willing are you to take a risk? And more importantly, how willing are you to live with the consequences in case that risk was miscalculated? The person with the highest tolerance for risk and the greatest willingness to assume responsibility should be the person with the most authority. That doesn't mean that any fucking jackass willing to throw caution to the wind and just charge into the fucking fray should be in control. No way. No. You see, this is where we spin right back to where we started. We come full circle. You need to be working in service to something greater than yourself. Something that's more than just you. Something that's bigger than just what you want and what you desire. Those things are interesting. Maybe. But they're no way to govern your life. You need to be part of something bigger than who you are. And that is what makes you who you are. You don't command for the pleasures of command. You command because you are carrying out a mission. The mission of whatever it is that you're part of. For most of us, that's family. The mission we serve is to care and protect our families. In most families, not all, but most, it's men who are more comfortable with risk. It's men who are more willing to accept responsibility. Now, in the current climate, any man that gets married is obviously demonstrating a very high tolerance for risk. Men who are the sole income earners, they're taking a very great risk indeed. The reward for taking on that risk is authority. If you want him to change his mind, it can't just be based on how you feel. So if you're uncomfortable with this idea, what you need to do is sit down with a whole bunch of Star Trek videos, and you need to watch how the captain and first officer relationship works. Watch Riker and Picard, Spock and Kirk. Watch all the great captain and first officer relationships. You're not going to see any abuse. You won't see captains disrespecting their first officers. On the contrary, a captain without a magnificent first officer who is intelligent and perceptive and capable and who has information and facts to support those times when they disagree with the captain's decision, that first officer is what makes the captain. It begins with trust. It always begins with trust. Not just trusting another person, but trusting your group affiliation. Trusting yourself. Trusting that you've made a good decision. Spock trusts Kirk. He loves Kirk. They work together brilliantly. That's because